Everyone has enjoyed the presentations from the secondary mobile app category. And please don't forget that the voting is still open for the teams of that category. So you can go ahead and vote for your favorite team. At this moment, I'll welcome NTRC's Public Relations Officer, Ms. Eustacia Walter, to give us the introduction of judges for the open category.
Good afternoon. I will now introduce to you the judges for the open category. Mr. O'Connor Graham. O'Connor Graham is an IT professional currently employed at the Mustique Limited as a network administrator for the past 5 years. Prior to this, he was attached to the company as an IT consultant, focusing on a wide range of IT responsibilities. He holds a bachelor's degree in computing and law from the University of Derby, United Kingdom, which had a heavy focus on computer programming, application development, video game development, and information systems management. He is the founder of his own company, Akano, which develops mobile and web application development projects. Mr. O'Connor Graham. Mr. Cenas Hines. Cenas Hines is a founder of Conservi Inc., a software company that is the parent company for the Carriway, a tourism agency that focuses on local tourism, including kayaking, snorkeling, target shooting, and more. Carriway is also the #1 reviewed tour agency in St. Vincent on Google Maps. Cenas had his start at presenting business ideas at the I-Squared competition, then after which he went on to represent the country in multiple entrepreneurship conferences and competitions across the Caribbean and Latin America. He has won awards of Most Innovative Startup in regional competitions held in the Dominican Republic and Grenada. Mr. Cenas Hines. Miss Emma Jackson. Emma Jackson's working career began as a teacher, obtaining a teaching certificate with the University of the West Indies in 1996. She studied multimedia technology and design with Brunel University of West London, UK, and graduated in 2001. In 2002, she started work with the then Ministry of Telecommunications, Science, Technology, and Industry as a system analysis. Presently, she is the Deputy Director of the Public Sector Reform Unit in the Service Commission Department. One of her duties is to assist the ministries and departments with various reform initiatives aimed at transforming the delivery of quality service throughout the public sector. Ms. Emma Jackson.
At this moment, we will begin our open category presentations with the team AgriPlace. Please welcome them.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Casey DeFreitas.
And I'm Dini Jolizo.
And this afternoon, we will be introducing to you SVG's new agricultural app, AgriPlace. Before we describe the app, let's get into some problems currently faced by the agricultural community. First, we have farmers haphazardly producing crops, which oftentimes lead to an overproduction or underproduction of certain crops. Then we have consumers being largely unaware of price changes within the specific crops. And then we have highly unstable market prices, and this is due to the fact that production is unstable. So how is AgriPlace an innovative solution to these problems that we have just identified? First of all, AgriPlace would allow farmers to state their estimated production for a specific time period, and this would allow other farmers to gauge the saturation for a particular crop at a specific particular time period. And this would allow them to make better production decisions. Customers will also be able to easily view the prices of specific items by logging into the app and searching for their particular item. And finally, farmers would avoid the issue of overproduction and underproduction again And this would lead to the forces of demand and supply stabilizing price. So what makes AgriPlace unique? Well, as of now, there is currently no mobile application in SVG that does what AgriPlace does. There's no app that would network for farmers and market trends for the agricultural sector like AgriPlace intends. Who will AgriPlace benefit? Well, first of all, we have our farmers and our fishers. They are the main persons who are expected to benefit from this application. According to the Ministry of Agriculture, this accounts for 26% of SVG's labor force. This literally translates to 24,960 Vincentian lives. How will it impact these farmers and fishers? First of all, to reiterate what I've said before, it would allow them to gauge the saturation of a market, and this would guide them in what to produce at certain times so as to avoid making losses. It would also allow them to put information on the application that would allow customers to know that they have produced a certain crop and where the crop is available. These factors will ultimately aid both farmers and fisherfolk in obtaining a stable income and increase their sales. Additionally, we expect consumers to benefit from this application as well. For example, using our government statistics, SVG has a working population of roughly 96,000 people. Therefore, all these people are expected to benefit from this application. And this would also, the way that they would benefit is that consumers would be able to find where produce are being sold, especially specific produce which may be scarce, and as well as what location they will be cheaper at. This saves them time and money. Among the consumers we expect to benefit largely are hotels and restaurants. Hotels and restaurants would be able to use the application to find what farmers have certain produce, and they would be able to obtain them freshly as the farmers would update them as soon as they are available.
Well, given all the information you just heard, you might be wondering, is AgriPlace technically feasible? Well, I would say yes. But first, let us break it down on a cost level. The app will require at least one IT support to maintain it and provide updates. This will cost an estimate of about 30,000 EC dollars per year. An additional $300 would be allocated to the server costs and $0.23 per gigabyte to the storage costs. This would amount to an estimated annual cost of about 32,000 EC dollars. And yes, AgriPlace will be free, but that may leave you thinking, how do we intend to get money? Well, we can do so via funding from the Ministry of Agriculture, as well as other revenues from the app. The technology that will be utilized, the big data, as AgriPlace is essentially a social networking app. It can only get bigger from here as we expect more and more users to log into it, making the data very complex. Cloud computing, since we intend to link it to the Azure cloud database that would utilize that, as well as Internet of Things, considering that many devices would be interacting with each other via a local server. So now we would refer to the app for the demonstration. All right, so you see here we have our login screen. So for the purpose of this demonstration, I'll go through the sign up interface and that. So persons would be able to enter their name, last name, email address, and password as form of security, which they would confirm. Then they would select an option depending on which member of the agricultural community they are, whether farmer, vendor, or consumer. So we'll choose farmer for now. Then they will select the location as provided here, and we go next. And they agree to our terms and conditions to which they would sign up. When they enter their home screen, you'll see here that there is a static map here and there are pointers around. So if we click one of these pointers, you would see that an overlay comes up. This overlay represents farmers that are nearby. So you could click on the profile and see what those farmers offer and what have they produced so far and how you can contact them and other information like that. On the same overlay, below the screen, there's an option to add. There's an option to add products. So users can, the vendors rather, they can add whether they want to have fishes sell and at what price that they sell them at, and etc. So continuing, you have your trends interface on the next side, which you can go here and you can see, okay, what is available at what price and at what times, etc. So if I click banana on this interface, you would see here that a graph comes up that shows you price against the times of the month. So you see like when it fluctuates, how it fluctuates, and this awareness will keep you up to date about price and availability. So you have other features like notifications to keep you updated about things like these, as well as your menu screen in which you can update your account. And if you're a farmer, you can post stuff from here as well, and you log out. So going back to the slide, a wise person once said, innovation isn't seeing what everybody else has seen. It is about thinking what nobody else has thought. With this in mind, we need creativity to go forward in order to become more critical thinkers rather. And this is what AgriPlace has done. I thank you. Here's the end of our presentation.
We will now have the 5-minute round of questioning from the judges.
All right. Thank you for your presentation, and I must say, well dressed for the presentation as well. I have a question. So you mentioned hotels and restaurants as target market for AgriPlace. So I'm working in the hotel, one specific hotel, let's say Sandals, and I'm responsible for buying produce. You would imagine I have to buy in bulk. How would AgriPlace be handling the quantities? Would I have to go around buying from multiple suppliers, or you can handle wholesale or?
Well, we really intended to leave that up to the hotels. What you would have to do, as you said, if you cannot find the bulk that you need from one source, you obviously would seek it from different sources possible. So it depends on what is available from the farmers. We cannot tell the farmers what to produce, sadly. So it's what they make at certain time, and that would then force the hotels to make a decision on how they're going to buy. So if you can find it from one farmer, then that would be preferable, a large-scale farmer per se. If you have to find it from multiple farmers, then that's just a necessary route that you would have to take.
Good afternoon. I wanted just a confirmation. You guys, you're just aggregating all of the information. You're not doing any payment processing or anything like that?
No.
As we've stated before, AgriPlace is intended for social networking, so it will facilitate the market, but not be the market itself, if you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, great job. And like my colleague said, you're well poised for the presentation. Would the app have varying login details according to the users of the app? So I'm not sure if I got that. In terms of the fishermen and the farmers input their own information, right? I get that?
Yeah.
Okay. So would there be varying logging details and the user as well? Or is one login for everybody?
Well, it's one login for everybody, but the way how we create our app is that when you sign up, there's an option that you could choose which part of the member of the agricultural community that you are. Depending on what that is, then your interface will be different from, let's say, a consumer example. So a farmer's interface will always be different from a consumer's interface.
Okay. So my next question then, who verifies the farmers and the fisher folk when they log in?
Well, a lot of the data that we have use in order to create this app as being provided by the ministries. So in any case, we would refer to the ministries just in case, because, like some people like to troll and whatever. So they most likely will get reported. And in that case, we'll have to refer to the ministries in order to do verification checks on such things like that.
So as soon as I register, how long would it take for me to start using the app as a Fisher person?
We actually haven't determined that yet.
Currently with the prototype though, you would begin right away. It's just that the verification process would occur later on.
Thank you very much, AgriPlace. At this time, we will welcome the team Wonder Makers to the stage.
Okay. Protocol has, sorry. Protocol has already been established. Everyone, good afternoon. Presenting before you are Michael Beth and myself, Ramona Vanlo. Today, we would like to tell you about our app prototype entitled the V-App, which is short for the Vinci app. For the next 7 minutes, I kindly ask of you for your undivided attention, even though our app is very similar to a presentation that was done before. Now, I will pass over to Michael, who is the main presenter for today.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm just going to give a little refresher course as to what our app is about, because we are not going to redo the PowerPoint. Because of time, we're going to just go into the prototype. So what our app basically is about, it targets the tourism industry, helping tourists when they come in St. Vincent to know the way around and about the country and basically everything they need to know. We have the services it offers and all the businesses, and what St. Vincent is basically about is like having St. Vincent in the hand as a tourist. So we are going to jump into our app at this point. So we have the front of the page, right, which is the home page. It just shows you a simple logo and the name V-App, right? So this is the starting page that also shows you St. Vincent, the picture, just to kind of keep the culture in the app. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to click the first button, which is the Go Vinci, right? So you'll meet up on the login page, right? So you have options. You put in your name and your password. You have the sign-in option. You have the forget password. Or if you don't have an account, you could create one. So we're going to just try to test all of them. So you have the sign-in, which is already you have your stuff, so it will bring you to the main page. Let's try the forget password. It will carry you to the page to reset your entire password, and when you click OK, it will carry you to the main page again. If you X out that and you click you don't have an account, you click below and it gives you the option to create an account, and then you sign up. Okay, thanks. And if you want to see your profile that you just created, the profile icon is up in the right hand side. You click that, it shows you your information and what you signed up with. All right, so we go into the menu now. We have a lot of other, we have a lot of different features. We have About Us, Find Me, Categories, Institutions, Emergency, Gallery, and Feedback. So we probably will just choose one, like the Find Me feature. This feature basically is you are a tourist, you in town, you last. You could just use this Find Me feature. Say like I'm here, we're just using here for an example. I click Find Me, the map comes up, and you want to find where you are, you just click, zoom in, and it brings you to Methodist Church, basically. It's just like an example, right? So that's the Find Me feature. This helps you not being lost and know where you at. So if you are here and you want to get to somewhere, it will show you the pathway to that. So we have another feature we're going to test out. We have categories. They show you different things like taxi, shop and deliver, online shopping, which is still in development, and business pages. Okay, so let's choose shop and deliver. You have shop and deliver, right? And this is the main landing page for the shop and deliver section. You click menu, right? You see, as you can see, it's only one business that does, well, that we know about, which is LAC shuttle services, right? You click on that, it takes you to their page and their basic information. If you want more information, it has the email and their website and their phone number where you can go and get more information from them. Okay, and this slot available means that you as a business, if you have, okay, say like the group that presented this morning, Freight.io, if they want to like partner with my app, they could click slot available, and they will have the option to like sign up with their app and will like merge with our app. So that's shop and deliver. Let's try just to run in taxi and see. You get taxi, you go in the menu, you see different taxi services on the mainland and the Grenadines too. The same thing with this spot available thing and the basic detention tools, the basic information, and the site if you want to go to get extra information. It is basic. The app is very simple to use. If you go back to the home page now, you have institutions. If you click that, it basically, we have a list of 3. So we just click one if you want to find out about an institution in the country. Let's click the old public library building. It brings up the basic information. You notice it doesn't go into detail. And above you have the thing to say if you need further info to visit the site, which is the link it carries you to the site. So let's go emergency. Emergency doesn't make you call anybody or anything. It just gives you the basic numbers because the app is not calling anybody for you or alerting anybody. We just give you the basic numbers and you would have to, the basic emergency numbers. So in case of an emergency, you can have access to the numbers. You have gallery. You want to see what St. Vincent's like. You have a couple pictures in the gallery. A lot of beautiful places in St. Vincent you never saw before. So you see them here and you want to know what they're about. You click one, it comes up bigger so you can get a clear view. And this is like our culture. It just the gallery showcases what the island is about basically and gives recommendation as to places you could go. And the last thing is feedback, which basically this is the slot that you write to the developer, either telling them what they can improve, what they can do, their opinion on the app as to how it can be made better. And that is our presentation for the feedback.
Thank you.
We'll now have the 5-minute round of questioning from the judges.
Afternoon. Great presentation. Tourism is a really interesting field for me. I just have 2 questions that I'd like to ask quickly. Who's responsible for inputting the details, right? Because you're going to have taxis and etc. Are they're going to have some way to enter that into the app, or are you going to be responsible for going around and getting that information?
Well, the part with the like that. There's like a partnership, right? You have the app and it's like a partnership. Okay, so if you have a taxi service and you want to be on that, you could. Oh, okay. So, the quest. You could just repeat the question so I could make sure. Like,
Who is responsible for inputting information into the app?
um, depending on what kind of business you are, you can get access to like the setup of it to input data, or like if we know like it's basic stuff, we could input it for you. Um, Obviously charging a fee if it's like heavy work or anything. So basically.
To add onto the question that you asked, not only what would we be doing that, but we will also be going out and interviewing about the businesses that wants to join our app to make sure that the businesses are legitimate.
Okay, so great presentation.
Thank
So
you.
my question is, how do you intend to make money? And secondly, do I, as a company, do I have to register, and how much is their registration fee to be featured on your app?
Okay, so with the company, how will we make money? So first of all, in order for the business pages to be on the site, right, they have to pay a fee to have their site placed on it. So that's how we will be making money. They paying their monthly fee. Okay, they have a registration fee, and you still have a fee to pay monthly. So that is how we would be making an income.
Okay, thanks for the presentation. So your answer kind of lead into my other question. It actually has multiple parts. So how would you encourage persons to use your app over Google? And for the businesses, since they can already add, general information on Google for free, how can you convince them to use your app over Google?
So what we would, convincing them is one method, but we could show them the benefits as to how our app might bring in extra income to them. So, like if our app, right, and not just them, but our country too. But if we have the app, right, and they normally make like 5,000 a month, buy groceries and all that. If we have our app and it takes off and it has a lot of people and users use it, we could show them how their page being on our site could get them extra money by tourists seeing it and saying, oh yeah, I would like to buy something from this business, and just like that again, extra money coming in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Wonder Makers. At this time, we'll welcome the team Charismatics.
Judges, fellow competitors, members of the audience, good afternoon. How many of you know what you want to do with your life? Do you know what career you would like to pursue? Do you have a plan to achieve this goal? If not, you aren't the only one. Many people have no idea what they want to do with their life well into adulthood. They're sometimes unsure, lost, and confused about what career to pursue and how to pursue it. Sometimes they need a little help, or maybe some guidance. Introducing the Career Guidance app. As the name suggests, it is an app that would help people who are undecided or unsure about what career to pursue to decide on a future and a career that best suits their interests and ideals. I'll now give a brief demonstration of the app. So first, as you open the app, the login and the sign up screen appears. So I will go over to sign up and then I'll input my full name. So for now, I'll become John Smith. And then I go on to input my email address. And my password. All this is done to save the data. So whenever you open the app again, you don't have to redo everything that you did when creating your account. Oh. All right, after I open the app and create the account, I'm immediately directed to the Getting Started screen, which presents me with a list of questions so the app can get to know my character better. So first, it asks me how old I am. And then I input that information, my education level, and then it goes on to ask me what kind of person I am. And then it asks for my hobbies and interests. So a famous person once said, when deciding on a career, you have to be prepared to switch careers at least 6 times before you decide on whatever you want to do. The app takes all of this into consideration when deciding on a career. So after finishing filling out the Getting Started section, I then hit continue, and I'm presented with the home screen. So at the top, you immediately see low, medium, and high. Low is in red, medium is in blue, and high is in green. There are bars under each career recommendation. So the first one is human services. So based on the questions that I filled out, the app says that human services is the career best suited for me. And then going down, I see government and public administration at the lowest in red. That indicates that I could do this job, but it's not the most compatible with me. So going back up, I see recommendations under the career under human services. After hitting recommendations, I'm met with a list of degrees. So the recommendation tells me the best way possible for me to get into this career. So here it hits me with Bachelor's of Science in Human Resource Management, Psychology, and Social Work. Under here, they provide where it's available, UE, Open Campus, located at Kingston, and it even gives me the website. So after opening the website, it takes me directly to the page where I can get more information. Going back, I'm able to look at other options as well. So I have certificates here and the website again. And then under here, jobs are available. That tells me recent vacancies in jobs in SVG. So here we have Finance Officer, the St. Vincent Cooperative Bank Limited. And here I'm able to go read more, where it would then give me a general overview of what that job does, the duties, the experience and qualifications needed in order for me to get into this. And it gives me the deadline and where I can go and contact that recruiter. The app also tries to understand the market. For example, if the app notices that there is a lot of vacancies in IT positions and the qualifications needed are a Network Plus or Security Plus certificate, then the app, when making recommendations, it will put those certificates to the very top so the user can know this would be the best certificate for me to get in order to get into this career. Going back towards the presentation. So technology. What technology was used in making the app? To allow the app to be both usable on Android and iOS devices, we decided to use React Native framework. And in order to host our massive database, Microsoft Azure SQL was used, which allows us to store the data online. We want the app to be free and available to everyone. So we've decided to utilize ads in order to generate income. However, there's a drawback to this method. In order to generate income, we need users interacting with the app. So before we decided to make the app, we decided to conduct an online questionnaire in order to test the feasibility of the app, in addition to interviews. There were 6 respondents to the questionnaire. The majority of our respondents were between the ages of 13 and 18. This indicates most of them were still in school or just leaving school. And when asked if they knew anyone who was uncertain about their career choice, 97% of our respondents said they knew someone, while only 3% did not. This stat alone indicates that there is a market for our app. When asked if they have a school guidance counselor, 81% said yes. However, when asked if they've ever asked for help from the guidance counselor, only 8 said yes. And of the 6 respondents, only 28% of the respondents have ever taken an aptitude test. And of that percentage, only 4 found it to be useful. Finally, when asked if they would like to know the statistics about different jobs in one place, and if they would use the app to provide an app that would provide complete guidance, an overwhelming majority, more than 95%, said they would indeed use the app. So after our research, questionnaires, interviews, and looking at different apps that offer disability career guidance apps, we can only conclude that there is indeed a demand in the market, and we are committed to meeting that demand. Thank you.
At this time, we will have the 5-minute round of questioning by the judges.
Okay, thank you for the presentation. Well done. So how is the data entered by the user going to be transformed into a career suggestion?
Okay. So the app uses an algorithm that matches the information that they input with information that's relevant to the career. So for example, the app focuses heavily on the last 2 questions, which is the career and their interests. So however they fill that out, the suggestions will be tailored towards that.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation. My question has to do with your survey that you had. You said that 8% said yes, that they asked the
81% said
81?
yes. Yeah, 81% said yes, they've asked.
They've asked.
Yeah. No, they if they had, yeah, they have a guidance counselor.
They have a
81%.
guidance, but 8 said only
Yeah.
8 said they asked.
Only 8 have asked for help, yeah.
Okay, so how do you guarantee that persons in that demographic are going to actually use the app if they already have a physical person and they're not utilizing that person? How are you going to guarantee that they're going to use this app? Which leads to my next question. How do you advertise this app so that persons can actually utilize the app as well?
Okay, well, the difference between this app and a guidance counselor is that from what I believe, the guidance counselor would, okay, so the app itself, you would input, so from the list of questions, it would give you, after you input it and it matches from the database, then it would give you everything, all the information that you need, how exactly you're going to go about it, and you could do it in your downtime, so you don't have to schedule an appointment with the guidance counselor, which is a deterrent for some people. What was your follow-up question?
So how do you intend to advertise this app so that persons can opt in to utilizing the app?
All right, so we would use social media because the app is targeted towards people who are undecided in their career, and oftentimes those are people who are still in school or just leaving school. So, and those persons are people who use social media the most. So Twitter, Instagram. So we'll post promotions based on that.
All right. Another question. So, how is the app going to analyze the market? Because I think you mentioned that the app would sense or know when there's particular rise in IT positions or something.
Okay.
How is the app going to
Okay. Yeah.
analyze the market?
So the way we input the vacancies right now is through reading newspapers and browsing the web for any available vacancy in SVG. So as more businesses and newspapers move online, those vacancies would also be posted online. So we would develop an algorithm that would comb through those newspaper articles and those online websites, etc., to pull the data from there and post it automatically towards the app.
Thank you very much, Charismatex. At this moment, we will have a 20-minute break to keep in time with our schedule in the agenda. At this moment, I will take the opportunity to acknowledge our sponsors, and they are Right Stuff, ECGC, the NTRC, Caraway, 4Imprint from the USA, Internet Society, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, The News, SVGBC, Asbot News Network, One News SVG, Tusty Waters, Eyewitness News, Radio Grenadines, 104.3 Extreme FM, Hot 97.1, King Computer, this is also from the USA, Boom Radio 106.9, the Kubiyashi Productions, the NIS, Flow, Searchlight, and Digicel. We will now have some ads from our sponsors. We will now continue the open category presentations with the team Dem Island Boys.
Good afternoon. We are Dem Island Boys, and today we'll present to you quick jobs. Now, before we begin with the slides, we want you to keep these two scenarios in mind. So the first scenario is, let's say you're in Kingston, right? And you're organizing some documents, and one of the documents require for you to have it signed before you can submit it. Signed by a lawyer or affidavit. So now you're in Kingston, you don't know a lawyer affidavits. What are you going to do? So the second scenario is, let's say you're a young man, you just finished a course at a technical institute in carpentry. So now you know you're good, and you know you're good at what you do, but how do you get others to know that you're good? How do you put yourself out there? How do you advertise yourself? Quick jobs. Now what is quick jobs? Quick jobs is basically a mobile application that is going to solve these problems. The first issue being jobs. As we know, in today's job market, quick jobs are very difficult to find. So what quick jobs does is that it allows you to find a skilled worker in any field. Take, for example, the first scenario. You're looking for a lawyer to sign your document. You can go and post on quick jobs, and the lawyer will get a notification, and so you guys can come to an agreement. Second issue that we'll be dealing with is advertising. As we know, advertising is very expensive, whether it is on social media on YouTube, in the newspapers, it is very expensive. Quick Jobs provides nationwide reach for anyone who wants to advertise a skill or advertise that they're available for a job. Advantages of Quick Jobs. You might want to say, or might want to ask, what is the difference between using Quick Jobs or, let's say, Facebook or Job784 or something like Vinci Buy and Sell or anything like that? Now, let's talk a bit about our notification feature. So let's say you're interested in construction work, right? You'll be able to state in this app, say, I'm interested in construction work. And anytime there's a job that comes out with construction work, you get the notification directly on your phone. Your phone will vibrate and everything. You get the notification, and you'll be able to interact with that in which way you want to. Our second feature is the rating system. Now, this allows users to rate you based on how good you've done your job. Now, after you finish your job, you get this rating. So this will push you to do your work even better. Because let's say I have a five-star rating based on all the work I've done, and you have a 3-star rating based on the work you've done. And the next job is available, and two of us basically bid for a job. The person would be more inclined to choose me with a 5-star rating than you with a 3-star rating. Target audience, who is Quick Jobs for? Quick Jobs is for anyone. Anyone who wants to advertise a service, anyone who wants a quick job, anyone who wants a job. That's who Quick Job is for. Here's a preview of the app.
For those of you who may have watched the preliminary round, you may have seen that the sample that we gave of how we want the application to look. Now let's go over to the reality. Right? So as you can see, this is the actual working application that we provided for you guys. It provides alerts when there is a new application, when there is a new job incoming. In this interface, you can view through the list of what available jobs there are. You can book for these type of services. So as you can see, this here wants a delivery man. It provides a rating that you can see, so you can know if you could trust or not the person provided the employment. And as you can see, the person is not trustworthy. But if you can still go ahead, that's up to you. Where you would book, and they would notify and tell you that you booked the service. Now, on their end as well, they would also be able to see that you have booked for this employment opportunity. For also showing you that this is a live and working application, I want to provide a sample for you. I also wanted to provide a sample for you to show you that right. So a job was now posted for the NTRC for an IT technician. It charges $50 per hour to get all the relevant information. And now we will take back to the slide.
Yeah, so basically the technologies used were Expo, along with the React Native framework that provides a cross-platform framework where you can code in one base for iOS and Android. We use Firebase for storage and MariaDB along and Node.js to run the server, and that's it.
That's the end of our presentation. Thanks.
We will now have the 5-minute round of questioning by the judges.
All right, thank you for your presentation. So persons who are advertising their services and those who are, trying to hire persons, are they using the same app, or there will be an app for advertisers, or?
So there will be a separate app for advertisers and a separate one for users. For the sake of the presentation, we wanted to narrow the scope a bit just to show you basically the main stuff of it. So that's why we didn't really show you those other parts. So what I did, I actually used it from the employer's end, where I posted the NTRC's availability, just to show you how it would look on the user side.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. I wanted to know if this is just a directory or if it's a full suite, meaning I can go on this Is it when I go on this, I only see the jobs and then I decide, all right, I want to take this job, then I try to contact the person in some way and arrange payment to them? Or do I do everything through the app? I just make an appointment, pay through the app, the person comes, leave the review through the app. How does the process go?
Yes, you do everything through the app. So first, when you open the app, you see a listing for a job. Let's say the same IT technician. You go and you see the details about this job. So the hours, the area, all this and that. And then you can go and book or say, make an appointment and book that job. And then the other person, the employer, would contact you and verify that, yes, they can do this. And then you would pay them. They would send you the cost. And then you pay them through the app, through PaySwift. We might implement Squeeze Cash, may not. Depends on the API. Yeah. And then that's that. Then you go and you rate, comment, simple.
Okay, good afternoon. My question has to do with how, if I'm a skilled worker and I'm applying to put my skill out there, how do you or how does the app verify that I am who I am?
There's a vetting process. You want the full details on that? Well, okay. So, first, they sign up to be an employer. So then they are at, let's say, there's an unverified status put on their account or unapproved. Then we call them and contact them and ask them to come to us and prove to us that they can do their skill. You know, to prove that they are real, a real person, and that the picture they put up is what they say they are, basically. And then we decide if we want to verify them. They won't show up on the app until they are verified.
How do you prove that they are who they are? How do you verify them?
In person.
So if I bring a fake certificate, you're going to verify that I am who I am?
You should have a portfolio of work or some way of proving your experience or your qualifications. We should be able to tell if a certificate is fake.
So I am a user now, and I would rely on you three to verify that he is a plumber. Is that the case? Based on your research on him, or?
Not just ours, we'll use word of mouth and other various ways of verifying.
All right, so just to confirm, when I hire someone through the app, who am I doing business with? Am I doing business with you, the owners of the app? Or am I doing business with the contractor, the person who I am, let's say, hiring? Because then, in that case, how does something like a refund go? You know, like if I'm not satisfied with this, if something was not done right, who do I then speak to? Do I speak to you guys, or do I try to get the person to do a refund, etc.?
Something about the rating system as well. We plan to put this in where if a rating is below, let's say if a rating is 1 star, you'll be able to file a report, and now we can look into this and see what's really the case and deal with it accordingly.
Yeah, technically, to answer your question, both of us. But we'll do the support, the handling.
So a question about the payment system. Is it going to be something like escrow, or is it, you know, as soon as the job is complete, you get the full payment? Are you going to hold the funds until, you know, is there some sort of system to verify, you know, the job is complete, then you can release the funds?
That would be up to the two individuals, the employer and the job worker. When they are there, okay, if someone, let's say a carpenter, is employed, is it over? Okay, yeah. You employ a carpenter. The carpenter is coming to wherever you are. You gotta expect them to be there. So it's up to them to click pay, because it's PaySwift, so it's online, so it will be instant. So with PaySwift now, I could set up a multi-payment where I say they are to get $50 and I'm to get 10%. I will give them the 45 or 40, whatever, and then we will get the 5%, the 10%. PaySwift cannot do all that through its API. But it's up to them to initiate the payment, because that's just how it works right now. And that's the best option we have besides other stuff like PayPal and all these things, because it's immense.
All right, thanks.
Thank you very much, them Highland boys. At this time, I'll give the judges a few moments to deliberate and get the scores together. At this time, we'll welcome the team Ellis.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Natanya Sherman, and this is my partner.
Tabrai Lewis.
And we are happy to present to you Hype784. Hype784 is an app that keeps you in the loop by letting you know the ongoing and future events.
Right, so this app is basically to link the promoter with the user. Instead of having your promotion just head and everywhere, all the events would be in one place. So let's say that you want to sign up. There are two places to go, either user or promoter. Let's go on user. So with the user now, we have to fill in some information. If you want, you could use your Facebook or Google credentials. So let's assume that you created the account already. So when we click on create an account, you will be automatically signed in. And now we are at the home section. So when it comes to the home section, it would show the current event for today's date, as you could see here. And there you could actually share. Well, you could open that and you could click on the share icon and you could share among popular social media platforms such as Facebook and Instagram. And you could also bookmark it to save it. Now there's a little part at the top where you could actually shift the date so that you could see the next available date and what events that they have. All right, just waiting for it to load a bit. But in the meantime, this is not the only way for you to view the latest events. There's also the calendar view, which will give you, well, basically a calendar. And with there, you could actually see which ones have events. Once they have the dash underneath the number, that indicates that they have an event going on. And when you click on it, the event would pop up. If there is no date there and you click on the day, it'll just show no events listed. For the next section, if you're not into looking at the calendar itself, you could go on to the events part, and it will list the events in chronological order. So let's say you want to find out more information about the event that's happening today, Tuesday, November the 17th. You click on that, and it will give you some basic information, the name of the event, some particular notes, and there will be a picture of where the location is. And if you want, you could click on the promoter, and it will give you more information about the promoter themselves, or the entity, rather. Now, there will be a More tab as well, that when you click on it, it will give you some added functionality. Now, there will be Profile, that will allow you to edit your basic information and your password. And there's also some items like Support, where you could reach out to us about any problems with the app, Terms and Conditions, as well as a place where you could see your saved events. Now, one of my favorite parts is the settings. That will give you, well, the settings. It will give you the push notifications, and of course, since some persons would be using the app in the night, we also have the option to turn on the dark theme. So this would actually let you see the app, but in dark mode. Right. So now that we've seen what the user can do, we're going to log out. And then we're going to see the sign-in page as soon as it would load. So with the sign-in page, there'll be two options. You could either sign in as a user or as a promoter. All right, there we go. So if you want to sign in as a promoter, you simply click on Promoter. And there you need to give your email and your password credentials for you to log in. Now, when you sign in, you'll be able to see events just like a regular user. However, as a promoter, you could also create and manage events.
Now, the data that we have collected from the surveys that we carried out shows that 76% of the persons that we interviewed said that they wanted this app.
And that number also includes promoters as well. Now, when you click on Create Event, there'll be a spot where you would put in the relevant information, including a picture of the poster, as well as various information about the event. And there'll be another place where you'll upload a picture of where it will be held. Like for instance, today, some persons did not know where Methodist Church Hall was. If they had our app, they'll see where exactly in Kingstown they'll be able to go. Now, when it comes to building the app, we plan to launch it for Android and iOS. Firstly, with Android, which is why we're going to start off with, for the front end, using React Native. And for our database use, we're going to use Google Firebase, especially for its security. And for the programming languages, we're going to be using JavaScript and Node.js. All right, so icode784.
Keep you in the loop. So sorry. We'll make it up to me when you get
At this time, we will now have our 5-minute round of questioning.
All right, thank you for the presentation. So this is just for finding events. So if I found an event I'm interested in, I still have to contact the event promoter to buy tickets for the event.
Well, currently we would like to be the person, well, the link between the promoter and the user. We can further that in the app in the future. But for now, we're just the link between the two.
So basically, you're going to see the event, but in order for you to buy a ticket, you have to contact the promoter. Perhaps later on, as a future installment, we could have a ticketing system where you could actually pay for the ticket one time through the app. But for now, we're focusing on just promoting events.
Good afternoon, guys.
Good afternoon.
I mean, in that case, how will you be making money? I assume you want to make money.
All right, when it comes to that, firstly, there will be in-app advertisements, and promoters would have to pay in order to put their advertisements on the app.
I noticed in your features, you mentioned terms and conditions. Does that have any, how relevant is it to the app? What are the terms and conditions?
So when it comes to the terms and conditions, it's what is expected of the user and of the promoter. What we're mainly doing is just promoting events. The user still has to do his own due diligence and research, especially when they want to go to an event. So if they didn't organize for a ride after the event is done, that is not on our end, that is for the user, as when it comes to any event for that matter.
So is there any vetting process for event promoters so you can sign up? What's the process like when you sign up as an event promoter? You just sign up and then you can get to just start creating any number of events?
Okay, so when it comes to the promoter, in order to be a promoter on the app, you have to sign up either online for the app or in person, and you need to also bring in certain information like police credentials, which would then be checked by us. And after that, you'll be able to upload your events that you have to pay.
Each event, the cost, or once I'm a promoter, I can put in 100 events?
Each event would have a cost. Once you put up an event, you have to pay at a certain rate per day, and there'll be packages as well.
Thank you very much, Ellis. At this moment, we will give the judges a bit of time to tabulate the scores and prepare for the next team. At this moment, I'll welcome the final team from the open category, and that team is Dawati Tex.
Thanks, man.
So let's use our imaginations for a moment. Or maybe you can use your memory. So it's the end of the month. All your bills are due, and you have a long to-do list, both at work and for household chores. You have a 10-minute break. So you leave your office and hurry to an institution, hoping to get through with at least one of those tasks that you have outside. But when you get there, there's a line. A line so long that it goes from inside the building and continues outside under a tent. Now you weigh your options. What should I do? Should I have patience and wait, hoping to get through before my break is done? Or should I go back to the office, get more work done, and come back, hoping that by the time I'm finished, the line would have subsided and I would be able to get my task done? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, judges. This afternoon, we are the Dawati Tex, and we brought to you a solution that would put the end to waiting. Today, we present to you our app, Q. Q is a mobile application. It's a queue management system that helps you to join a line from wherever you are.
All right. Just to mention, the line would go outside under a tent if you're lucky. You might just end up in the hot sun. So how does this work? Not sure which side to watch. Right. So how does this work? Now, as you see there, where it says kiosk, for the app to be able to function, each institution that is participating must have an automated digital queuing system at their location, which we will also provide. That queue system would create the base through which the app would function. As you see there, that system would communicate with an API, a RESTful API that presides in the cloud, that would then communicate with our mobile application that would constantly send information back and forth to each participating institution. And so within the institution, persons don't have to physically line up. It would be similar to what you have functioning at Flow, where you punch your code, you wait the display of your name on the digital display, so then you know when your turn is up. And so on that basis, Q would then be able to provide further services and features to our users. Sorry. And so the app, let me show you Q. All right, so first we sign in.
So we sign into our app, and on the home page, you would see at the top, in the window, in the view, you would see different ads from different companies. So today we've given complimentary ads to many of our business sponsors for today's iCode competition. You can also go to the home key, the home menu at the top, where you would be able to select what service you like to get. Or you can choose one of the display icons on the screen and decide if you want to see your service providers, join a queue, chat with your customer service representative, or join a quick line. This evening, the first thing we're going to do is check our service providers. So our service providers are in different categories. We have service providers from financial institutions. We have those in government institutions, those that handle logistics, education, and those that can cover utilities. This afternoon, we are going to join a line at Geku. So when we click on Geku's icon, it tells us where Geku is located. At the bottom of the screen, if you're unaware of where the location is for Geku, you can check the map, which would give you the location. The Google map will tell you exactly where it is. Above, you'll also see what street it's located on. It says here that it's located on Halifax Street. It gives you the office hours and the days it's open, a telephone number, and also an email address where you can contact, how you can contact this institution. Now we are going to join a queue. So we can join a queue, make an appointment, chat with a customer service representative, or send them a message. So let's join a queue. Now we've selected join a queue, and it gives us the option to select which department in this institution we'd like to go. We could see a teller, customer service, loans, or recoveries, and this could also be adjusted based on the institution. So we will go to customer service. And now we've joined a queue in customer service. A message will come to tell you how many persons are already in line and how you should proceed.
All right, and so after you've joined the queue, you would receive a digital ticket here on the app. It's still loading. And when you arrive at the institution, you would then be required to check in by scanning a QR code similar to this one. And so that tells our system that you are physically located in the institution. And so the system can now include your digital queue number in the institution system. And so that prevents the situation where sometimes a number is called and the person is not physically present. Also, there's a quick join option by scanning a similar QR code that puts you into a default queue in each institution by also scanning. When the queue is created, the payment system is integrated with PaySwift, which is currently the only provider of gateway processing, as we are aware. And also, we have also considered SMF's premium rate. We've had a brief discussion with a representative from Flow last year, and they indicated that that is possible. However, further investigations would have to be done, which would then utilize your prepaid balance or bill to your postpaid account, a small fee for creating a queue. Also to mention that you would also be able to rate the service from each ticket, which would give other users the ability to determine or to have an appreciation of how pleasant each service is for each institution. All right, so the estimated cost is approximately $7,300. The app monetization, maintenance subscription, advertising, and virtual queue tickets. And yeah. So this is queue. So say no to no more long lines extending onto the sidewalk. Say no to confined small spaces, increasing your risk of contracting a viral infection. Say yes to queue. Say yes to smarter living.
We will now have the 5-minute round of questioning by the judges.
Hi guys, good afternoon. Thank you for the presentation.
Right, yeah.
Even though, you know, with the sticking, sadly. I saw on the app monetization that you had virtual queue tickets. So do I have to pay to be in a queue, basically?
Yes, that's one of the sources of revenue that we investigate and are exploring. We've spoken to a number of persons in interviews, and at least I think all persons did indicate that they're willing to pay for that service. Persons are saying they're willing to pay somewhere between $1 and $2, depending on the nature of the institution. That we presume came from some institutions have very long lines, and some of those persons are imagining that this would significantly ease the wait. And so some persons indicate that they're willing to pay that amount in the interviews.
Just following up on that, do I pay to be a user on this system or only come on when I need to use it to queue, and then I pay for that.
Right, so that is correct. So you do not have to pay to be a user on the system. The intention is for the system to function as well as a form of directory, also as a form for persons to be able to communicate directly with institutions. So these features don't have a cost. The only cost is for the convenience of queuing virtually.
Okay, you indicated about 7,000 some for the development. Is that US EC?
Right, so it's 7,000. We estimated roughly about 7,300 because we'll be doing most of the development ourselves. But there's also a contingency of about, a cost contingency of about $3,000 as well. So,
Okay, does that include the devices that will be at the locations?
right, so that's it for the development of the software and the, right, so that doesn't necessarily, that doesn't include the implementation at each institution. Implementation at each institution may be different. Some institutions may need a big digital screen. Maybe some might need a screen this big, who knows. Some institutions may not have a very large space, so they might only be using an administrative version of the app just to keep track of those persons who are coming in. So some institutions' cost may be very minimal, might just be another app. Whereas institutions like Flow or like a financial institution may have several digital screens, and so it would be scaled based on the institution and customized accordingly.
Also, any plans to deal with, for example, there might be persons who in the line physically who doesn't know anything about your app, and they're there waiting about 45 minutes and they see someone just walk in and get through. Do you have any plans to deal with any of those situations?
Well, right. So when the app does come on stream, in the queuing system, the persons who are queuing virtually outside of the institution, because in essence everybody is queuing digitally, their ticket numbers would be distinct. So the persons who are in the institution would have simple designations like C for customer service and so on. Those coming from outside would have an additional designation such as a V. Now the interesting thing is, persons may not necessarily recognize that somebody just walked off the street and walked into the institution because nobody, once the system is implemented at the location, would be physically lined up. So you might very well lose track of who was here first and who came in a while ago, because usually when persons are freed of the restriction of having to line up physically, you end up in your cell phone, you end up talking to persons, and you just pay attention to hear that change, that it's your turn to go. So we've thought about that, and we think we should be able to maneuver that potentially challenging situation there. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Dawati Tex. At this moment, the voting for the open category is now open. You can do this on our website, www.ntrc.vc/vote. I'll repeat it. It's www.ntrc.vc/vote. At this time, the judges will give their feedback on the presentations thus far for the open category.
All right, thanks again for all the presentations. I see generally most persons learn from the suggestions that we had the last time. What I would say though, I think some persons spend a little bit of time showing the sign-up pages. I mean, I think most persons would understand how a sign-up page functions, and you spent a lot of time focusing on that before you show the meat of your app. So just keep in mind sometimes when you're doing presentations and you're presenting an idea, just get to the important idea, show that part first, and then you can make mentions of the sign-up pages and things that people are accustomed to.
All right. I think the presentations were definitely improved upon from the preliminary rounds. I think it would have been a bit more interesting to see ideas taken a bit further in terms of things that you can do with technology, especially in 2020. I know I gave a recommendation the last time about not putting too much words to the presentation so that we can pay attention to you presenting. I think that was followed mostly. So I was very happy to see that.
I think I concur with everything that my colleagues would have said. I noted that a lot more research was done from the last time we met. And I also noted that some groups incorporated the features of their app into their presentation as opposed to waiting at the end, which gave a better flow of understanding what your solution is. And in some cases, we saw professionalism, and that was really good. So I commend everyone.
The floor is now open for our audience. This is your time to give any feedback or comments on the presentations in the open category. If anyone wants to do so, they have the time now. At this moment, I would like to again thank our sponsors, and I will call each of them. Our sponsors are Right Stuff, ECGC, the NTRC, Caraway, For Imprint, this is a business in the USA, Internet Society, The News, SVG BC, Asbot News Network, One News SVG, Toasty Water, Eyewitness News, Radio Grenadines, 104.3 Extreme FM, Hot 97.1, King Computer, Boom 106.9 Radio, the Kubiyashi Productions, NIS, Flow, Searchlight, and Digicel. And again, for our audience, if you have any friends, any family who were unable to make it, you could share and tell them that they could view the competition on YouTube. Our YouTube name is NTRC SVG. It is streamed live. And they could also view it on SVG TV. We'll now give our auditors time to confirm the results, and we will resume the program at 4:30 for our results and prize giving ceremony.
At this time, I would welcome a team that presented and won in the icode784 competition last year to give you some advice and a brief overview on how it was for them and how entering the competition assisted them in now being employed at the NTRC. Welcome the group KNR.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
In the previous competition in 2019, we entered in the open category and we went by the name KNR, and our app was called TaylorMade. So our app was geared towards persons like the students who are participating today, developers, web developers, software developers, persons who want to go into that sort of field and make a name for themselves and just to develop SVG in a better way. So in terms of the competition, hearing it at first, it made me interested. I wasn't necessarily paying attention to these sort of things prior to the competition, but as I entered and prepared for it, as we prepared for it, we realized that there are a lot of youths who really are interested in this field, but just don't have the gateway to express themselves and really show what potential SVG youths have. So when we entered and won, it gave us the boost and the motivation that we needed to really think and say, well, we could really do this. People appreciate what the youths do in SVG. Okay, so following that event, in June of this year, the NTRC released an employment opportunity for interns. And I was the one who initially saw it, and I sent it to my partner. And we realized, whoa, we could work at the place. That's crazy. So then we sent in the application and we did the interview, and then we got the call. And
Correction.
when we...
She got the call. I was rejected.
I got the call, right?
Yeah.
And then further along, he came into play. And the competition helped in the internship because after we won, we kept researching and looking into ways to improve the app to really make it happen. And in the company itself, we learned many, many different skills that helped us to not only improve ourselves and what we could do for the country, but to improve the competition itself to give others more of an opportunity to better themselves. So to everyone else who has participated in the past and who has participated today, I would just like to say, no matter if you win or lose, do not give up. Try to make this app that you have or any other app a reality and continue in your goal of becoming a better youth, whether it is in technology or whatever career you decide to go in. And that's about it. He's a quiet one.
Yeah.